blast. Teenage dreams and neon screens. It was all rad, you know what I mean. Like, you know, it's like whatever, together forever. We're never gonna sever, laughing and sharing our stories clever. We'll take you back, it's like whatever.
Welcome to Like Whatever, a podcast for, by, and about Gen X. I'm Nicole, and this is my BFFF, Heather.
Hola. I need to find something new than hola.
Okay. I
I'll
like
work
it.
on it.
Yeah.
Bonjour.
We're trying to get our laughs in now because this is not a funny subject.
It's not a funny subject. She's really putting a muzzle on me.
We will
week.
find ways to be dark and humorous like we always are, but
It's going to be tough this week.
yeah, a lot of respect. Anyway, your week.
I have had a week. It's a week. It's Tuesday, so I'm into the next week. I'm having a second week since the last time we saw you.
Okay. All right. Yep. We're still honoring that.
Yeah.
So, I don't have, wait. Oh, I didn't even tell you this. Man, we have been talking for like 2 hours
I know,
already.
and I have to go home, so.
But that was all the top secret stuff that none of you are allowed to know.
You can't know any of it.
But anyway, have you seen the Edgar Allan Poe speakeasy thing?
I have.
Facebook.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I did sign myself up for the serial killer immersion thing in Milton in June.
Ooh.
I'm gonna go learn how to be a serial. I don't know what it is, but
Sweet.
it's like a I don't know, a live discussion of serial killers. It's a totally immersive experience. So I did sign myself up for that.
That sounds scary.
I'm excited. I hope that I don't have to be like, actually, I would never do that.
No, you wouldn't. So the Edgar Allan Poe Speakeasy is in Dover this weekend, and my friend Amy signed us up for it.
Oh, nice.
I know, so I'm going. But here, all right, so I'm going to tell you the bad news first.
Okay.
It starts at 10 o'clock at night.
What is up with that?
10 o'clock.
That's too late.
Like, I'm going to have to come home from work and take a nap.
That's a nap.
Before I go. But, yeah, I'm excited. They read 4 Poe stories in dramatic fashion. And there is a cocktail to pair with each story. Mm-hmm. It's out in like the country on like a farm, which makes me a little nervous. But, but the big concern is I don't know what to wear.
It's a safe bet to go with black.
I was going to say, you could pretty much wear anything you own.
Yes.
I mean, I do have like a plain black dress, but like it's from Old Navy. Like seriously, it's not that exciting.
Well, I mean, black is black is black. I mean, I get my shit from Old Navy too.
Yeah. I guess I can. I was thinking about that dress and some black tights and some black boots and then do my makeup up good.
They have these tights. Look, so TikTok shop and stupid, not Shein, but the other one, Temu. They just send all this shit. And every one of it, I'm like, oh my God, I want that so bad. I'm like, so currently my obsession, and I cannot justify buying it because I cannot justify wearing it at 50 years old. They're fake, not fake. They're like fishnets to the knee.
Okay.
And then from the knee down, they're like just regular tights. And then they have like a faux garter that goes from the knee up.
That sounds so cute.
They're fucking amazing. And so my thought process on that, I have not bought them yet. I'm very close to doing it. But then I saw, you remember, which I was never, because I was always heavier, I never had the balls to wear them. But now I don't fucking care. The black ruffly shorts, like the little bloomers.
Yes.
The Lolita situation.
You'd be so cute in those.
I know. With that, but then I'm
with
like,
those tights.
yes.
Yeah.
Where am I going to wear that?
To the serial killer thing.
And then like I was thinking like a corset top.
Yeah.
But again, I go to work, I come home and put my pajamas on,
So you
I
need
DoorDash
a nice-
in my pajamas. I work in my pajamas.
So you need a nice, fancy, cute outfit.
I guess to watch
For your event.
All right. Maybe I will buy it.
Okay, you should.
Okay.
So this week I was listening to no, I can't remember if it was NPR or on the evening news, but I just wanted to share this celiac kisses. So they did a study. They spent money
Yeah.
to figure out if your partner ate bread and then kissed you afterward,
Right.
would it cause a reaction?
I can tell you that. How am I going to put this nicely?
If you're married to someone who has celiacs, you're probably not getting kisses anyway.
No, I wasn't going to say that. What I was going to say is I know for a fact that if your significant other eats shellfish and you're allergic to shellfish or peanuts, they can kill you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Celiacs gives you a bellyache.
I'm just saying. As somebody, I hate allergies.
We have celiac trauma, so
Yes. And
we're not meaning to offend.
I have allergy trauma. Like, okay, I hate the peanut people. I hate people who are allergic to peanuts. As somebody who is allergic to shellfish, deathly allergic to shellfish, and live at the beach where 99.9% of the restaurants, the fucking McDonald's has crab cakes. Everywhere has seafood. Not a single fuck is given to the people with shellfish. You're just supposed to just avoid it. How? I have no idea.
And shellfish is literally steamed.
Yes.
Which means it's literally being floated into the air.
Walking into a seafood buffet
It shares
can
a
literally
grease
kill
pan.
me.
So Heather can't go and order chicken fingers because they probably just made some fried clams and fried shrimp in there.
Exactly. So, but peanut people, you can't take a peanut butter and jelly outside your house ever for any reason because the breeze might pick it up and somebody who is allergic to peanuts 3 miles away could die.
And that's totally fair. Like, what if I'm at a work training and there's 100 people there and I packed my lunch for the day and I brought a peanut butter and jelly sandwich because it's cheap
Yes.
and easy to take. Now what? I'm getting sued? And seriously, and I'm not trying to make fun because I know kids die from peanuts and I'm not making light of it, but was it a thing when we were kids? I mean, this is the Gen X question in me.
It's weird because
I mean, I know we didn't have social media back then, so
you didn't probably know as bad. Plus, I don't know. I don't know.
But we all took peanut butter and jelly sandwiches to school. All of us.
And I don't know anybody who died.
Or we got served it in the cafeteria.
Yes. And I don't know who died from it.
No, that's what I'm saying.
I don't know how peanut allergies
I mean, maybe
came.
the allergy has evolved. I don't know. Maybe it's something else in the peanut butter and not the peanuts.
It could be. I know that I was not allergic to shellfish until I was 10.
Right.
And it is when it is introduced to your body a different way than normal and your body is like, what the fuck is that? For whatever reason.
She was injecting it.
Mainlining.
Mainlining crab meat right into her
Snorting
gullet.
it. Doing lines of crab meat. I cut my hand and they were cooking it at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it happened to me. That's how it happened to my uncle too. He cut his hand on crab. How it has evolved into what I have, because my allergist was like, yeah, I've never seen anybody that is allergic to everything. And usually you have either shellfish or fish, but I have all of it.
And you love all of it.
I do. Everything in the ocean can and will kill me. Not even just from biting me.
And she lives on the beach.
I live on, it's crazy.
And drives for DoorDash for seafood restaurants.
I almost died doing that. Picked up steamed shrimp. I had to cook it my whole life. Nobody.
Yeah.
I mean, my sister would kick me out of the kitchen.
You had to eat a Red Lobster.
I had to eat it.
There somebody wanted cheddar biscuits.
0 things to eat at Red Lobster.
Without
Nothing.
celiacs. Yeah.
So, before we get any more trouble on that one.
Yeah.
The allergy people drive me nuts because.
Well, you're a chef or a cook or a chef, and so you have to hear all all the whiny.
So when we had the restaurant, all I had to hear about was how, they need to be very careful. And my sister would get so angry about that. She's like, my sister is allergic. So don't you worry. We did take allergies very seriously, even though I had to cook the shrimp scampi all the time.
Well, who cares if you live?
No one.
As long as the customer's happy.
So I don't know how peanut allergies became such a thing that they are now.
Yeah, maybe I'll look into that and share it on a podcast one day because I'm just curious about it. I mean, I'm not saying it didn't happen back then. I'm just saying I didn't know anything about it back then.
I was too busy worrying about my own allergy. I didn't really give a shit about anybody else. It's like,
So before we get started, I'd like to just remind everybody that we are on all of the socials at Like Whatever Pod. You can find us wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you could, please just click that little like, share, rate, review. Give us a little boost.
Yeah.
Because we're so funny. We want
We're
to make sure that
hilarious.
everybody
Today,
gets
maybe
to hear
not
us.
so much. I'm going to do my damnedest. And you know what? I'm going to apologize up front. I am in rare form.
She is.
I incriminated myself earlier.
But we love rare form, Heather.
I mean rare form. Today.
Yeah. She is.
I was ready to.
That's why we had to talk for 2 hours before we got on.
Yeah. And it'll get it out of my system.
We are also on YouTube at Like Whatever, and we are on, as Heather says, the Tickety Talk.
Tickety talk.
And you can send us an email if you would like to tell us about your peanut allergy at likewhateverpod@gmail.com.
Right.
All right. So this week we are going to fuck around and find out about Vietnam. So, as we said, it is a serious subject, and I am not here to really talk about all the controversial stuff that happened in it. My husband and I this week watched the Netflix special Turning Point. It's a documentary. It's 5 episodes, an hour and 20 minutes per episode. And I read it somewhere as described as a no holds barred look at Vietnam. So it is gut wrenching. It is devastating. It's a lot. But I was realizing as I was watching it that I know names and places and things and timelines are not timelines. That's the thing. So I kind of just wanted to kind of put everything chronologically together for us because we as Gen X were very young.
Yeah, we were.
Mm-hmm.
But I think a lot of what our whole existence is really because our parents went to Vietnam.
Yeah.
Our
Yeah, I agree. It really affected so many men in such a harsh way. And one of the hardest parts on the documentary, and I don't remember the whole thing, but the guy was like, I came home after my year and I stepped off the plane and my mom and my dad and my siblings and my friends, everybody ran to greet me and I was so happy to see them and they were all so happy to see me, but I was not the same person. I just got goosebumps thinking about it. And he's just crying as he's saying this.
I did a term paper on the difference of PTSD in World War II vets and Vietnam vets.
Did you do that in high school?
I did.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a pretty intense paper for high school.
It was. Mm-hmm. I went to private school, remember?
Yeah.
We do things different.
I'm surprised they cared about mental health.
You know what else I
though?
did also? Not to get off subject, but my senior paper was on the pagan imagery in Shakespeare's Macbeth.
Oh, I'll bet your Catholic private school.
It wasn't
loved
Catholic.
That. Oh, okay.
So that's why I can do it.
They were very religious.
And yeah, it was
Senior paper was on animal rights.
Very different. So yeah, I did do the differences of the Vietnam vet and World War II. Of course, their age was the biggest, one of the biggest factors. The kids going to Vietnam were just babies. And then,
yeah, literally in the documentary, because it has a lot of everybody in it, which is another thing that makes it good. It has on the ground soldiers. And this one guy was literally 18 years old, graduated high school. 3 days later, he was in Vietnam with a gun in his hand. Like,
Right.
just a child. Think about the 18-year-olds in your life right now, or that you've known. Like, that's insane to me. And they weren't any different than kids are now. It's not like... See, I work with high schoolers, and I have a different feeling on that kids are soft.
But you work with different kids than...
That is true.
You're not working
Ones
with...
who have obstacles.
Yes.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
True.
You're not working with...
Who appreciate...
Ashley from...
I'm working with kids who appreciate what they get because they have to work harder for it.
Yes.
So, but...
Anyway, Vietnam.
Yeah.
Viet fucking...
So, and then there are like senior officers, and there are Vietnamese people, mostly women, who were soldiers.
Well, that was another thing about the differences between World War II and Vietnam. It was the first time that guerrilla warfare was really...
All hands on deck.
Yeah.
I mean, if you can walk, here's a gun. Like,
yeah. It was everybody. And that was what was a problem for the soldiers coming back because, in World War II, it was this side. It wasn't even so much then.
It was soldier versus soldier.
Yeah. And you were in your bunker and they were in their bunker. And you at night you stopped. And, it was
and in Vietnam, you were walking into little huts and with children and burning it down and murdering everyone.
Yeah.
So, and then they have like Black Vietnam soldiers. Mm-hmm. They have Asian American soldiers that went to Vietnam. So lots of different perspectives. They have this activist on there, and she's amazing. Like, she was really in the heart of it. I'm pretty sure she was at Kent State when it happened.
Yeah.
But her perspective of it, because back then, even with that, we talked about, Heather and I talked earlier about how the soldiers were mistreated, but how the protesters were mistreated, and the protesters weren't wrong.
Yes.
And to hear this woman's perspective of why it wasn't just like, oh, free love, fuck you, I'm going to smoke some weed and you shouldn't go to war. It wasn't like that. Like, these people, their brothers and friends and relatives were getting shipped over there, and they didn't want them going.
And they didn't come back, or they came back fucked up.
Right. Never, ever the same again.
Yeah.
So, it's a whole lot of perspectives. It's not, I felt like it was pretty historical and not opinionated.
Right.
And the opinions are the people who were down there in the fucking thick of it. So screw you if you don't like their opinions.
Right.
But yeah, it's very good. And again, and I'll share this again at the end. It is called, I'm making sure I'm right, Turning Point. Yes, Turning Point on Netflix. All right. So some of my stuff this week comes from there, and some from Britannica.com. So what I wanted to do, like I said, is just kind of go through all the steps of what everything happened that was there, because what everything happened is a real sentence.
I'm going to try to bring some dark humor to the whole thing.
Yeah. That we're going to, but we know respect better than we even know dark humor. So
I don't know about, okay. Yeah. I'm pretty dark today. So,
well, Heather can edit it out if it gets too bad.
True. I can. I have the power.
Oh, the things you could have heard. No, just kidding.
Actually, I don't have that much editing. I don't really. You pretty much hear it all.
Yeah, it's true. So, all right, let's get started. So, April 30th, 2025 marked the 50th anniversary of the fall of Saigon, which was the end of South Vietnam and the conclusion of the Vietnam War. The Vietnam War ran from 1954 to 1975, and I don't think I knew it was really that long.
The only reason I knew is because I have seen my baby book, and my mom has written in there, like, I was the firstborn, so of course she did. My sister's baby book is like just empty, like tumbleweed blow through it. But mine, it's like what was happening at the time, and it was like, oh, Nixon was, and the war was over.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so that's the only reason I know.
Yeah, and when you think about it, World War II ended in 45.
45.
So this is just 9 years later.
I don't know when Korea ended.
Mm.
I'd have to watch MASH again,
Mm.
which I fully intend on doing.
Oh my gosh.
That's my next series up.
MASH.
I love MASH too.
Yes. Oh, okay.
Wrong
Anyway.
war. Moving on.
I was just like, MASH. All right. So the war was from 1954 to 1975. And it was a conflict that pitted the communist government of Vietnam and its allies in South Vietnam, known as the Viet Cong, against the government of South Vietnam and its principal ally, the United States. So I didn't know this, but in Vietnam, they call it the American War. Mm-hmm. Just the same as we call it the Vietnam War, they call it the American War.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. The war was also part of a larger regional conflict and manifestation of the Cold War between the United States and the Soviet Union and their respective allies. North Vietnam, which had defeated the French colonial administration of Vietnam in 1954 to unify the entire country under a single communist regime modeled after those of the Soviet Union and China. The South Vietnamese government, on the other hand, fought to preserve a Vietnam more closely aligned with the West. U.S. military advisors present in small numbers throughout the 1950s were introduced on a large scale beginning in 1961, and active combat units were introduced in 1965. By 1969, more than 500,000 U.S. military personnel were stationed in Vietnam. Meanwhile, the Soviet Union and China poured weapons, supplies, and advisors into the North, which in turn provided support, political direction, and regular combat troops for the campaign in the South. The costs and casualties of the growing war proved too much for the United States to bear, and the U.S. combat units were withdrawn by 1973. And in 1975, South Vietnam fell to a full-scale invasion by the North.
Now, 69 was when my dad's number came up.
Okay, that's the year my mom graduated high school. So
my mom and dad did too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but his number, because he was 18 in April of that year.
Okay,
So
my mom was in March.
Yeah.
I didn't realize our parents were so close.
My mom's is in October.
My dad's older than my mom.
My mom and dad are the same age.
I think only 3 or 4 years now.
Anyway, I was telling Nicole earlier, my dad did not go to Vietnam. Oddly enough, it's not just because he's a hippie. His number came up and he went into the Navy Reserve. And then he went to boot camp and whined and complained about his foot until they medicaled him out and told him, "We'll let you out, Mr. Whiny Pants, but you cannot ever even pretend like you can go for any military." And he said, "Bet, where do I sign?" And moved his ass back home. So,
And then tell them what you told him he should have
I
joined.
told him, "Why didn't you just join the Coast Guard? It's right the fuck here." And he was like, "Where were you?" And I was like, "Wasn't even thought of yet."
All right. So we're going to start with May 1961. All the stuff in the 50s was just us kind of advising.
In Korea.
We were advising.
We were in Korea.
In Vietnam.
I know, but we were in Korea. And the 50s was Korea.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We were busy.
We were already over there. Yeah, we were already in Asia.
Man, we really loved to war back then.
Back then?
Oh, well, true. Sorry.
Yeah, it hasn't changed.
That's the funny thing to me, that when you learn about war in school and it's already happened, but it's your grandfather, it's your dad, it's your uncle, but it's still like you learned about it, so you can hold it. But now it's kind of like it's just happening and
Right.
it's all fluid. And it's just there, and you don't really think about it being, because war to me is either like knights on horses, like
Right.
killing each other in fields and taking
Or
over
World War II
castles,
bombers.
or it's World War II, crawling on the beach and having your little gun with a spear at the end and a hard hat on.
Right.
And, like, that's war to me. But and so now, like in Ukraine, you see it happen. And these are like skyscrapers, apartment buildings, hospitals, daycares, grocery stores. And you're like, oh my gosh, it's so savage and inhumane. But you're like, wait, people had civilizations back then too. It just didn't look like that. And it's just kind of realizations I'm coming to as I get older. I don't know. It's weird for me.
It's just, you know, human beings are horrible.
And always have been.
Always have
Like, how
been.
have we made it this far?
For
Other animals are far better than we are.
100%.
All of them.
You know why? Because theirs is an instinct to eat.
Yeah.
And to be.
And reproduce.
And that's pretty much.
Yeah, that's it.
They're driving.
Fucking
thing.
eat. That's
they don't
all
just
they want to do.
kill people because they just don't kill
Because
other.
they want to see what it feels like.
Or because
their country told
that
them to.
guy has the oil fields and we don't. Or
Right.
because Chernobyl is in that guy's country and
this
we
guy
want it.
might have nukes. So
Yeah, or this guy worships a different version of our Jesus. They just call him something different, and we don't like that they call him.
Oh man, y'all are in
Muhammad.
trouble. If you're easily offended, shut it off now because she
because
is not.
I'm
It's
on
not
a
going to be
rant.
pretty
I'm
tonight.
trying to-
Instead of trying to make this funny, she's just going to make it extra dark.
I'm just saying, like, just people just are savage, and it's just the way it has always been.
Why is it got to be that way? So you got power. So what? I mean, what do you really have? Nothing. It's all fleeting. You die all the same as anybody else does.
It would be very interesting to talk to an evolutionist to find out because.
Has it always been this way?
Because it had. I mean, we wiped out the Neanderthals.
Yeah.
We wiped out every other hominoid. I don't remember what they're called. So we wiped out all of them to become the top. I just wonder evolutionarily why. What did we
Why
get?
did we win?
Well, yeah.
There had to have been somebody better.
I don't know. I think we had the biggest brain. But what is the advantage of just straight out war for zero perp? I get like one lion pride comes up against another lion pride, but they're warring because this side has more. And maybe that's just it because
more
we
food
prize different things than lions do.
Yeah, but so what if what's his name? Putin has more land. So what?
It's not. Well,
so what? I mean, what difference does it make?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, so lions fight over food. Maybe people have just decided that it's not food that is the most precious thing. It's the oil
Stuff.
or
just the stuff.
or the mutant dogs.
And stuff is only worth what humans say it's worth.
That's so. I would just like to talk to and see what humans have benefited over time because they are just always.
Yeah.
The Crusades, just they have constantly warred with each other. Just for whatever.
I mean, we are a fucked up species.
We are. We're horrible.
We're mothers.
a cancer
What
on
other
this
species
planet.
do mothers kill their children?
Well, most other species do. There's a hamster.
For no reason?
A hamster will eat her own babies quick.
You know what? I have seen that because I used to have hamsters. But I know male hippopotamuses will kill the babies.
Most male will kill the babies
Most
of
male.
a rival. Yes.
Especially if it's a male baby.
Yes. They will.
Because they ain't got no use for that.
No. So I would love to talk to, if you are out there listening and would like to explain to me what humans benefit.
Yeah, let's book another guest on the show before we have.
I know.
All right, so May 1961, President John F. Kennedy sends helicopters and 400 Green Berets to South Vietnam and authorizes secret operations against the Viet Cong. To the new administration of the U.S., President John F. Kennedy, who took office in 1961, Vietnam represented both a challenge and an opportunity. The Viet Cong's armed struggle against Diem seemed to be a prime example of the new Chinese and Soviet strategy of encouraging and aiding wars of national liberation in newly independent nations of Asia and Africa. In other words, helping communist-led insurgencies to subvert and overthrow the shaky new governments of emerging nations. Kennedy and some of his close advisors believed that Vietnam presented an opportunity to test the United States' ability to conduct a counterinsurgency against communist subversion and guerrilla warfare. Kennedy accepted without serious question the so-called domino theory, which held that the fates of all Southeast Asian countries were closely linked and that a communist success in one must necessarily lead to the fatal weakening of the others. A successful effort in Vietnam, in Kennedy's words, the cornerstone of the free world in Southeast Asia, would provide to both allies and adversaries evidence of U.S. determination to meet the challenge of communist expansion in the Third World.
So Korea was 50 to 53. I Googled it.
Wow.
Yeah.
We really didn't take a break.
I feel like, and I don't know for sure because I wasn't there, but I feel like a lot of this was because we had all that swagger from World War II, you know, because we annihilated an entire country for not a good reason, not a good enough reason.
Right.
But, and we were over there now because it's part of us not continuing to wipe Japan off the map. They were no longer allowed to have a military, so we had to be over there. So I think part of the problem was we were over there already, not minding our business. And then so we had all that swag coming off of that we saved the whole world.
Right.
And then we went into Korea thinking, well, and I think it didn't work out.
Mm-hmm.
So then I think Vietnam came along and we were like,
Oh, this will be easy.
oh, here we go. We're going to come back out on top. And when that didn't work, then we moved into, you know, like, I don't know, Afghanistan, and thought, hey, we're going to make up for Vietnam and Korea. And then that didn't work out. So we just stayed there.
Before that was Kuwait.
Yeah. I think we just keep trying to win.
I remember I graduated high school in 1991, and they were talking about a draft for Kuwait then. And I had a boyfriend that was a year older than me. And I remember I was very boy crazy, by the way, when I was younger. But yeah, I was terrified that he was going to get drafted. So I can't even fathom what this was like when there was an actual draft.
And and I think that's one of the parallels that Gen X has with baby boomers, because
we knew very well that there was a draft in the Vietnam War,
because we were told
and how it went down.
And it's not even like you were told. It's like, because when we were growing up and you saw a Vietnam vet, we don't talk about that. Like, it's just, we do not. So it was like shut down. You don't discuss it, you know. And then I think when it came to us being, you know, teenagers in early 20s in Kuwait and Iraq, it was scary because we knew what happens when they come back. You know, in World War II, when those kids were all growing up, you came back a hero from war.
Right.
You just
there
saved
were
the
ticker
world.
tape parades for all of you.
You just saved the whole world from speaking German.
And you enlisted to go do it.
You went to do, and so it was the same. Like, you could parallel that with September 11th,
right?
Because not the end result, obviously, because that got out of hand quick. But it was the same situation. But prior to that, there was a real concern about a draft, and we all knew how that went. And we had heard, you know, from your parents and from their friends. Oh, I knew somebody who didn't make it back from Vietnam. Or my mom would say one of her high school boyfriends never came back from Vietnam, went to Vietnam and never came back. And, you know, so for us, I think it was a little bit scarier.
Because it was still very raw.
Yeah.
for us. And the adults in the room were still talking about this stuff.
Yeah.
Whether they were telling us specifically about it or just talking to their friends about it, like, well, we knew this stuff.
Yeah. And you knew, like you had always heard, well, that friend of mine didn't come back right. And it was, so traumatic. And I think we lived with that generational trauma.
Yes.
As opposed to our parents didn't have that because,
They were all heroes.
a lot of people died in World War II. Don't get me wrong, but it was a whole different
Right.
scenario.
Yes. And trauma isn't just in the person who suffers the trauma. No. When your son, grandson, brother, uncle, whatever comes back and they're not the same person, that's a trauma for you as well.
It is.
It's like a death.
Very much so.
Right.
Yes. when they come back as a different person. They do.
And they're never going to be the same.
Never. Whether, they got injured or they just saw things that they just should have never ever seen.
Or had to do things
or
that they
at
would have
19
never
years
done.
old, at 17 years old, at 18 years old.
Mm-hmm. Not by choice.
No.
So February 1962, No Dinh Diem survives a bombing of the presidential palace in South Vietnam as Diem's extreme favoritism towards South Vietnam's Catholic minority eliminates him from most of the South Vietnamese population, including Vietnamese Buddhists. And this is just a whole nother shit show.
I bet.
Because Diem seemed like he was a good leader and he wanted a democracy, but he was Catholic.
Right.
And I think I'll get to it. Oh, here we go. It's going to come right here.
Okay.
So Diem was born into one of the noble families of Vietnam. His ancestors in the 17th century had been among the first Vietnamese converts to Roman Catholicism. So that's going pretty far back.
Yes.
So he was pretty deeply rooted. He was definitely raised that way. But he was the leader of a Buddhist nation, right? So Diem, assisted by U.S. military and economic aid, was able to resettle hundreds of thousands of refugees from North Vietnam in the south, but his own Catholicism, it just didn't look right. I did drink a lot of wine already, so
I apologize to the Catholics, but it's not right.
In true Catholic spirit, I've drank a lot of wine.
She's been very much indulging in the blood of Christ over there.
It's so good. So his own Catholicism and the preference he showed for fellow Roman Catholics made him unacceptable to Buddhists, who were an overwhelming majority in South Vietnam. Diem never fulfilled his promise of land reforms, and during his rule, communist influence and appeal grew among Southerners as the communist-inspired National Liberation Front, or Viet Cong, launched an increasingly intense guerrilla war against his government. The military tactics Diem used against the insurgency were heavy-handed and ineffective and served only to deepen his government's unpopularity and isolation. So this was just kind of like a perfect storm.
As typically, yes. Kind of the way it goes.
Yeah. So I think he had good intentions, but he wasn't the right religion. So let's have a war about it. But
oh, you call your Jesus something different.
But the thing that really devastated me throughout the documentary was, Buddhists are a peaceful people. They do not believe in violence.
Right.
Like, violence doesn't exist to them. And the country people were just simple farmers, just growing what they needed to eat, killing a pig now and then when they needed some food, like nothing. And so there's no way they're going to win. But then I liken it back to when I was talking about like castles and knights. That's what happened then.
That is what happened.
They going into the little villages. So
technically, we would all still have a British accent had it not been for the French. So
yeah, yep.
Because that's exactly the British Army was hella huge and very, very, very practiced at what they do. So,
So France got Louisiana
lucky them.
and Canada.
And part of Canada. But then they had to give that back. So.
Oh, yeah. And soon they'll be part of the U.S., so whatever.
Hey, look at that. Full circle.
May 1963. In a major incident of what becomes known as the Buddhist crisis, the government of Ngo Dinh Diem opens fire on a crowd of Buddhist protesters in the central Vietnam city of Hue. 8 people, including children, are killed. On this particular day, Buddhist leaders sought to commemorate Vesak by displaying the Buddhist flag. However, the government had imposed an unofficial ban on the flag, which was perceived as an act of provocation. So there's a lot of parallels in this documentary, and if you are a little bit intelligent and open-minded,
I'm not.
You will see the parallels to what's happening right now.
Yeah.
So, the government made it so that you couldn't. There's an unofficial ban on the Buddhist flag, which is like banning the LGBTQ flag.
Sure. I do.
Or I just feel like they're going after the lesser,
the low-hanging fruit.
The ones who can't defend themselves, the ones who are weaker. My goodness, she is fired up tonight. Anyway, let me get back to where I was.
It's all a smokescreen, really. It's like, hey, look over here at the gay people because they are doing things we don't want to do, while I'm over here trying to take over half the world.
I think that's the point I was trying to make.
Yes. I got it.
DM was saying, look at the Buddhists. Look how annoying they are with all their peaceful
Their damn
love
flags
and meditation. Like while I'm over here fucking shit up. So in response to the peaceful demonstration by Buddhists in Hue, although I think that no, it's not, who insisted on their right to celebrate this momentous occasion, police opened fire. The violent action resulted in the tragic deaths of several protesters, leading to outrage across the nation, which is nuts. Like, I'm not about religion, but I've never heard of Buddhists raping children or anything.
No.
So I think they're pretty pure of heart.
Sure.
And spirit.
They have monks. I do know that.
I feel like I
don't know much
are
about
some of the truest to their religion.
I don't know much about Buddhists, so.
I took a world religion class in college, and we had to do a project on a religion that we had to go to the what's the word for
I remember because you made me go with you.
Yeah, it was in Lewis.
Yes.
So we had to go experience a religious experience that was outside of anything we knew. So I picked a Buddhist.
She did. I triggered a
in
memory.
Lewis.
Block that out.
So I did do some delving into Buddhist, and I do like 7 years in Tibet or 12 years in Tibet or however long Brad Pitt stayed in Tibet.
I think it's just 7 years.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't remember. But anyway, I like the movie. I don't know. I just feel like Buddhists, I appreciate religion where people are actually who they claim to be.
Right.
So, and that's super rare.
I don't know. I don't know enough about Buddhism to to speak to that.
I mean, it's nothing I could do, but they seem very peaceful. Anyway, I digress. June 1963, a 73-year-old monk sets himself on fire while sitting at a major city intersection in protest, leading other Buddhists to follow suit in coming weeks.
I do remember that too.
Yeah.
I don't remember it because I remember it on TV.
Yeah. So they showed black and white photos of it, I couldn't watch. Like, as soon as it popped up, I had to shut my eyes.
I did watch that part of the I did see part of that documentary.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that was harsh. The United States already declined confidence in Diem's leadership, continues to slide. November 1963, the United States backs a Vietnam military coup against the unpopular Diem, which ends in the brutal killing of Diem and his brother, Ngo Dinh Nhu. Between 1963 and 1965, 12 different governments take the lead in South Vietnam as military coups replace one government after another. Now, how North Korea didn't take over at that point?
Yeah.
For real. They really dropped the ball on that. November 1963, President Kennedy is assassinated in Dallas, Texas.
What?
You didn't know that?
What? I did not know that.
Shoot. And this documentary doesn't shed the best light on Kennedy either.
I don't think he was all that great of a human being.
No. Yeah. Well, there's another Kennedy in the news right now.
I don't think a whole lot of them are
a lot of inbreeding.
And they killed a lot of people. I mean, Ted Kennedy.
And a lot of inbreeding.
Yeah. Okay.
Lyndon B. Johnson then became president. So he was awful. I even
Do you want a fun fact about Johnson?
What?
From what I have heard, he was hung like a horse and didn't mind showing everyone.
Oh, classy.
Mm-hmm.
That's, yeah.
Fun fact.
Oh, yeah. So I was going to say I feel bad because I feel like I'm one-sided on what I'm saying here and I didn't really research it, but fuck him.
No,
he was a bitch.
He was a dick.
He was an absolute bitch. He was definitely J.D. Vance. Like a million %. If you want to know what would happen if Trump were to not be president anymore and J.D. Vance had to step in, listen to what Johnson did during Vietnam. Like, he sat there and was like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, shut the fuck up and figure it out. You are the leader of the free world now. Like, why?
He was notorious for having meetings while in the bathroom.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, making people watch him take a
Yes.
shit. Yep. I do remember hearing that.
Yes.
And then he didn't seek a second term. Like,
Yeah.
the country's in your hand. Like, he was such a bitch, like, big time. And he really did not know what he was doing. Yeah, so I know I'm skimming over a lot of things here. That's what my intention was to just kind of fill things in and really to plug this, like, documentary because it's amazing. But if you want more details, you're going to have to go watch it. So I tried to keep this short, but it's running long already anyway. So August 1964, the USS Maddox on an espionage mission is attacked by North Vietnamese patrol torpedo boats in the Gulf of Tonkin. The second attack on the Maddox and another U.S. ship in the Gulf is alleged, but likely never occurred, according to the National Security Agency documents declassified in 2005. The incidents led President Johnson to call for airstrikes on North Vietnamese patrol boat bases. 2 U.S. aircraft are shot down, and 1 U.S. pilot, Everett Alvarez Jr., became the first U.S. airman to be taken prisoner by North Vietnam.
POWs in World War II were treated much differently than I believe the POWs in the Vietnam War.
Yes, in the documentary, they have a POW or two that is interviewed, and they said it just continually got worse. Like, it was bad when they got caught. And then they're there 7-9 years, and it's just getting worse
and
worse.
I think because of the Geneva Convention, and when did that happen? I wonder if that was before. I don't know, but for some reason, I feel like in World War II, not that they didn't have it bad, because obviously the Germans annihilated millions of people and tortured them. Yeah, but I feel like it wasn't.
But that was on a grander scale,
right?
Vietnam's a small little country.
Yeah, and I feel like the torture was way worse. Like they did torture in Vietnam as opposed to just taking you out and shooting you in like World War II. But I don't know.
Well, I mean, you were more of a bargaining chip, I think, in World War II, as to where in Vietnam it was just so savage. The whole thing was just.
I just think sometimes I think about John McCain and I'm like, wow. Like, can you imagine?
know.
Like the horror.
I love John McCain.
He's also dead, right? I think so. Yeah, because he has a ship named after him.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I like him.
Anyway.
It's a shame they ran him with stupid ass Sarah Palin. He probably would have won.
Yeah.
Although he went against
Obama.
Oh yeah, never mind.
Did you ever
take
see
that back?
So the thing about there's a town hall that he did off subject, kind of, because he was tortured in Vietnam. So there was a town hall that he was doing in the election, and some lady stood up and said something about Obama not being from this country, and he was Muslim and all, and McCain shot it down. I mean, literally stopped her in her tracks and said, we're not doing that. I know the man. He's a very nice man. He has a very nice family. Just because we disagree on some things does not mean, and that was when politics was good. And then somehow it went off the rail because
we elected a black president and the country's had exploded.
But I think it was very interesting that he
was an honorable man. Yeah.
And he just shut it down. He's like, we're not talking about
I mean, there is a lot of truth to it being the greatest generation.
Yeah.
There's a lot of trauma on those men themselves, and then they imposed on their families afterward. But yeah. Anyway, I don't even know what I'm talking about anymore. Okay. So August 19. Wait, did I read that?
Oh, I think
I did.
I think we were in.
Yes, I did. There was something I was going to say about this. I don't know. Oh, in the documentary, we were just talking about the USS Maddox.
Oh, yeah.
And the North Vietnamese sent out torpedo boats, and it was pretty badass. Like, not that I'm proud, but, well, I am a proud American. But they came in and just started bombing the fuck out of these boats. And I was like, yeah, that's right, America. All right. Anyway. March 1965, President Johnson launches a 3-year campaign of sustained bombing of targets in North Vietnam and the Ho Chi Minh Trail in Operation Rolling Thunder. The same month, U.S. Marines land on beaches near Da Nang. Da Nang?
Yeah.
I'm doing pretty good with these because I just watched the documentary, but that doesn't mean a lot.
I only know that from Good Morning Vietnam. Denang me, get a rope and hang me.
I don't know if I've ever seen that movie.
Good.
I know the movie. I'm sure I saw it when I was younger. Anyway, let's see. As the first American combat troops to enter Vietnam. That was the end of whatever sentence I started 10 minutes ago. So March 1968, President Johnson halts bombing in Vietnam north of the 20th parallel. Facing backlash about the war, Johnson announces he will not run for re-election because he's a bitch. November 1968, Republican Richard M. Nixon, who is just a fucking god-awful person. Like, he is Trump, except he speaks a little bit better. But that's not hard to do. My 8-year-old nephew speaks better. Anyway, Republican Richard M. Nixon wins the U.S. presidential election on the campaign promises to restore law and order and to end the draft.
How'd that go?
Promises not made. Huh. September 1960.
Wonder how much the price of eggs were.
September 1969, Ho Chi Minh dies of a heart attack in Hanoi. Ho Chi Minh, I it was funny because my husband was like, do you remember learning about this stuff in high school? And I'm like, well, I don't remember learning about it, but I know the name Ho Chi Minh.
Yeah.
Like, and I think maybe it's stuck in my memory because it's such a catchy, cool name.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, but it's one that stuck with me. I knew who he was. Anyway, I'm always impressed with myself when I remember things. It's a big deal. December 1969, the U.S. government institutes the first draft lottery since World War II, prompting ever more young American men, later disparaged as draft dodgers, to flee to Canada.
My mom's cousin did flee to Canada, and they never moved back because they were allowed to go.
Because they have free health care?
Because Canada's way fucking better.
Yeah. It's
so-
fucking cold. That's the downside. Like,
yeah.
I would totally move to Canada if it
I
wasn't
mean,
cold.
they have summer
all
probably.
do they have sunlight though? Like,
They have sunlight.
could I grow gardens?
They have 30 days.
Could I
of it.
grow
Or they-
tomatoes?
You can, because they have. If the further up you go, they have day all the time, and then they have 6 months of no day.
No,
like Alaska.
we would have to like be
have grow
snowbirds
lights.
where I live up there for the 6 months there's sunlight, and then you move up there when there's six
When it's
months
all
of
dark.
darkness.
So my mom's cousin went to Canada, and I know that it was a long time that they were not allowed to come back. And then at some point, somebody pardoned them all, and they were allowed to come back if they came
I
back
mean, it
in.
would have been worth it.
If they came back in, they were arrested for being draft dodgers. So they couldn't. I don't remember when that was that they were allowed to come back.
But
they
I mean,
came.
you have to have money and resources to do that too. You know, I mean,
I think they just got in a car and left. I don't think they had anything because Canada was letting them in. It's refugees. So I think they just.
isn't that crazy?
Yeah. I mean, it's not. But, hey,
Why would they not want to be the 51st state? I mean, come on, Canada.
I'm going to Canada if I have to be a refugee.
Yeah, don't become the 51st state because you're where we're all coming when we need to get somewhere. We can't go to Mexico. We'll be stopped at the wall, not be allowed back in. All right, so
Jimmy Carter did it. Now let's bring Carter back into things. He issued a
course.
blanket pardon for Vietnam War draft evaders on
Of
January
course he
21st,
did.
1977,
Oh,
the
Jimmy.
first full day of his presidency. The pardon, known as Proclamation 4483, covered individuals who have evaded the Selective Service Act from August 4th, 1964 to March 28th, 1973. So that's when they were allowed to come back.
I feel like Jimmy Carter was the modern day Martha, or not Martha.
feel like every
I was going to
day-
say Martha Stewart, but what I meant to say was Mother Teresa.
I feel like every day we learn more and more about Jimmy Carter
And how amazing
and how
he
should
was.
probably be a saint.
Yes,
Let's get on. How do we get him sainted?
for real.
Let's do it.
Let's talk to this.
The Pope.
We'll wait for the new Pope.
Yeah, we gotta
and then
wait.
we'll take
We
it up
have
with
to
him.
wait for a new
All right, Let's
Pope.
just wait and we'll talk to the new Pope about it. All right. March 1969 to May 1970, in a series of secret bombings known as Operation Menu, U.S. B-52 bombers target suspected communist base camps and supply zones in Cambodia. The bombings are kept under wraps by Nixon and his administration since Cambodia is officially neutral in the war, although the New York Times would reveal the operation on May 9th, 1969. So this was another thing that really broke my heart in that documentary is I'm terrible at geography, so I know I'm going to sound like an idiot trying to describe this, but there is like the east side of a coast, and that whole east side is Vietnam, and the top half is obviously northern and southern, and then a big kind of round country right next to the two of them. More along the South Vietnam border, though, is Cambodia. And Cambodia seemed to have a pretty free-spirited leader. He just wanted everybody to be happy and good. You know, that's what it looked like. And to keep peace with North Vietnam and keep them out of his hair, he gave them permission to create the Ho Chi Minh Trail, which runs down the entire border of Vietnam, north and south. But when they get to the south side, they're in Cambodia.
Right.
And they just set up little shops there. And Cambodia's like, that's fine. Just stay over there. Keep to yourselves. You can just basically have that land for your shit. And that all ends up blowing up in Cambodia's face, which is so sad because, again, just happy people just living life, minding their own business. Anyway.
But how much did eggs cost?
Anywho, April to June 1970, U.S. and South Vietnamese forces attacked communist bases across the Cambodian border in the Cambodian incursion. That part's just sad. May 4th, 1970. Here's another little black eye for the U.S. In a bloody incident known as the Kent State shooting.
I've heard of it.
There's video on the documentary too. I've seen the video before, but National Guardsmen fire on anti-war demonstrators at Ohio's Kent State University, killing 4 students and wounding 9. yeah, they were simply peacefully protesting. You could tell they were getting on the cops' nerves. They weren't doing what they were told.
Damn rebel rousers.
But yeah, I mean, it was awful. And the advocate that was on the documentary, she was at Kent State. I remember that now because she remembers like how everything was shattered at that point, because up until then they were in a safe space, and now they could be shot.
Yep.
So it changed everything. Freedom of speech. Anybody heard of it?
No. We traded
Only
that.
when you agree with what I say, then you have freedom
We traded
of speech.
the freedom of speech for eggs.
Yep. It's not funny anymore. Stop saying it.
Okay.
I told you she was going to make the subject darker.
We still have freedom of speech today.
No, we don't.
No, we don't.
1,000,000% we do not. The Pentagon Papers. In June 1971, the New York Times publishes a series of articles detailing leaked Defense Department documents about the war, known as the Pentagon Papers. And this is the part where the good humans step up and they say, enough of this, and I'm going to take whatever consequences come this way. And the American people deserve to know what everyone is lying to them about.
Look for the helpers.
Yes, exactly.
Did you hold on? Again, as an aside, did you see that they have been playing a lot of Mr. Rogers trying to save PBS in the 70s? And he is speaking in Congress, and the congressman said, "You, sir," I guess he didn't know who he was. How, I don't know, but he didn't know who he was, and he was like, "You, sir, I have never been moved more than." So, have you then, Sesame Street, as you may or may not know, is
ending.
Yes.
I mean, PBS is ending at this point, so
they've pulled the plug. So I'll show it to you when we're done. But the Sesame Street has been putting out TikToks, and one in particular of Grover is kind of a call to action. Like, it's Grover talking about, like
Grover was always my favorite.
And then in the middle of it, he talks like normal, and then goes back. It's crazy.
Wow.
Anyway, yeah.
The monster at the end of this book is my all-time favorite kids book.
Enough of that.
Yes. Thanks for making it sadder.
I know, but isn't the rumor on the street that Mr. Rogers was like a sniper in Vietnam or something?
Yes.
Killed like 97 people.
There's also a rumor on the street that the Simpsons predicted a certain person's death coming up this month.
Yeah. That's on TikTok also. And it's the title of those videos are When It Happens.
No one in particular, just something I heard. So the reports revealed the U.S. government had repeatedly and secretly increased U.S. involvement in the war. The Pentagon Papers, officially titled Report of the Office of the Secretary of Defense Vietnam Task Force, is while I'm thinking of it, Kissinger is as big a dumb fuck as fucking Heswig, whoever the guy is that we have in now.
Right now.
Yeah, it's so parallel. It's ridiculous.
I mean, if you don't learn from history, it's bound to repeat itself. So
it's funny because when you're on the outside looking in, you're like, did they read what happened here and say, let's do exactly that?
Do that again.
Exactly the same.
It went so well the first time.
It caused so much chaos and death. Let's do it. United States Department of Defense history of the United States political and military involvement in Vietnam from 1945 to 1967 was the report from the Secretary of Defense for the Vietnam Task Force. The papers were released by Daniel Ellsberg, a saint, who had worked on the study. They were first brought to the attention of the public on the front page of the New York Times in 1971. The Pentagon Papers revealed that the Harry S. Truman administration gave military aid to France in its colonial war against the communist-led Viet Minh, thus directly involving the United States in Vietnam. That in 1954, President Dwight D. Eisenhower decided to prevent a communist takeover of South Vietnam and to undermine the new communist regime of North Vietnam. That President John F. Kennedy transformed the policy of limited risk gamble that he had inherited into a policy of broad commitment. That President Lyndon B. Johnson intensified covert warfare against North Vietnam and began planning to wage overt war in 1964, a full year before the depth of U.S. involvement was publicly revealed. And that Johnson ordered the bombing of North Vietnam in 1965, despite the judgment of the U.S. Intelligence Committee that it would not cause the North Vietnamese to cease their support of the Viet Cong insurgency in South Vietnam. That's a whole lot of bullshit going on right there.
Well, yeah. I mean,
January 27th, 1973, the year I was born. About 6 weeks before I was born. So my mom, I think about these things like my mom was pregnant as this was happening. Like,
Right.
was she paying attention? Was she scared that she was about to be a new mom? Probably not. But anyway, representatives of South Vietnamese Communist forces, North Vietnam, South Vietnam, and the United States conclude the agreement on ending the war and restoring peace in Vietnam in Paris. U.S. troops are to be withdrawn within 60 days, and the 17th parallel will remain the dividing line until the country can be reunited by peaceful means.
hold on, I have a question for you because I don't know the answer to this.
Okay.
When did your dad start at the Air Force Base? Was he there in Vietnam?
I was born in 70. Yeah. Well, my dad started civilian at the Air Force Base as an accountant.
Oh.
Because he had a college degree from Wesley.
Oh.
And, but yes, because when I was born, we moved down here for him to take that job, and I was born in Dover. So,
Okay.
yep.
I gotcha. I didn't. For those of you that don't know, Dover Air Force Base is one of the largest Air Force bases. It's right here, and it's one of the largest
Planes fly over my house constantly.
It's the only one of the largest on the East Coast. I think it's the only one that can take the C-5 on the East Coast, and it is also where all the fallen soldiers come back.
It is the morgue.
It's the morgue, and this is where they brought the Challenger remains. This is where they brought Columbia remains. It's a big, so
It's a big deal. Yeah, I mean, if we go to war, we're dead.
Did you know that they brought all the Kent State bodies back here too, to Dover? Or not Kent State. I lied. No, what's this? Jonestown. They brought all the Jonestown victims to Dover because it was the only place that could hold all of them.
Yeah, there's been a lot of crazy stuff that comes through here. And, well, at least in previous presidencies, when stuff comes in, the president comes here. So he's here pretty often too. I've seen Air Force One fly over my house.
The good thing about that, if there's a good thing about it, I don't feel like Dover is ever in jeopardy of closing. Like they were when they close Air Force bases. I know they close them. I don't, because of that. They have that I do think was a good call for whoever.
Yeah, and we're so close to DC too, so you're going to want to keep that.
We are
in between you and the coast,
I guess. We don't have fighter jets here, though. I mean, every now and then you'll see them, but that's Norfolk has those, I guess.
Yeah, that's true. And when I was in Virginia Beach last month, the hotel we were in, the fighter jets flew over constantly, like literally every 15 minutes. Yeah. I was like, how do people live here? Like, I live next to the Air Force Base, but that's not the same thing. It doesn't rattle your bones when it goes over.
No.
All right. January 27th, 1973. Oh, what I wanted to say, though, about the peace talks, alleged peace talks in Paris. So all of these world leaders had to come together for the Paris Peace Treaty. And as all these people are dying in Vietnam, it took weeks to even schedule this thing because they couldn't agree on who would sit where at the table, what shape table they should have, who should sit next to who. I mean, weeks they argued over this while people are dying.
But women can't be in control because they're too emotional.
Exactly.
And I feel
yes.
Angela Merkel probably doesn't whine about where she's sitting at the motherfucking
She doesn't
table.
care.
I'm just saying, like, you know what?
Because she can man up and ignore a bitch just the same as anybody else can. You can sit me next to anybody. I can pretend like they don't exist. Ask people in my
The thing of it
life.
is when people say, "Oh, women aren't capable of in being because they're too emotional." Who has started all the wars? Who? Men.
Exactly.
Ugh.
And it's all emotion.
Yes.
It is all emotion
It
driven.
is who has a bigger dick. And you know, if women are in charge, they don't. You know what?
We don't compare vaginas.
No.
We just
First
don't.
of all, I'm going to walk into a room with a bunch of men and I'm going to say, who has the bigger dick? Me. Now let's move on.
Exactly.
I have told so many men to suck my dick or that my balls are bigger. I don't even have any. So, you know.
I used suck a dick yesterday. Somebody was texting me in like a work meeting and they were like, do you still talk to so-and-so? And I was like, so-and-so can suck a dick. Because no, I do not. And you know who I'm talking about.
Do.
But that also reminded me that at South Park, I was watching it yesterday. I'm a huge South Park fan. Have you ever watched South Park?
I have. I'm not a fan.
You don't watch it now, do you?
No.
But I know somebody who used to love South Park.
One of the reasons I actually don't like South Park.
Okay. Anyway, but this is relevant and funny. So they all have physicals in school, and the school posts how much they've grown since their last physical. So it's like 1.2 inches, 2.4 inches. And Cartman thinks that they've posted everybody's dick size. So he wants to put up real dick sizes. So he measures everybody's penises. And of course, he has the smallest dick. And he gets in trouble for posting it. But yeah. So anyway, yeah, the dick size thing, like it's real. It is. And it's a fucking joke. It doesn't mean anything.
That's why I don't understand. Like,
girls don't want dicks that big.
No. Like, don't get me wrong. Women will kill you psychologically. There has studies shown that bullying in school.
There's a certain look that my husband makes that just hits the sweet spot. I'm like, he doesn't know what to say, how to act, if I'm mad, if I'm serious, if I'm joking, like what's going on, right? And I don't know. I live off, it's like a vampire in blood.
There has been a psychological study on bullying in high school, middle school, elementary school, etc. The effects of bullying of women, girls, because
Mean girls
aren't. That shit.
Because the thing they make fun of you for in second grade, they're your best friend for in 10th grade.
And they take you outside, you punch each other in the face, you come back in,
or
and
you make up a good
happy.
Nickname and you call him that for the rest of his life, and you're best friends forever.
And it just goes, yeah.
But girls, man,
No,
there's even a show on ID called Mean Girls.
It is. They plant that little seed, if you are a man listening to this, you have no idea the psychological torture that women are capable of,
which will
on each other,
outmatch, outplay
any day of the week.
# Survivor, masculinity and muscle any day. Yeah. Shoot. Now you got me fired up. You're a mess today.
I'm just saying this, like, this thought that women cannot be in
leaders.
charge and leaders because they're too fucking emotional.
Yes.
Well, I'm not whipping my dick out to show anybody anytime of the I just want to get this shit
women
done.
can actually separate themselves. Yes. Unless you're fucking with theirs. You fuck with mine. Yeah. It's done. All right. March 29th, 1973. couple
We're
weeks
almost to the
after
end.
I was born. So now my mom's like, oh my God, I have a newborn. What am I going to do? The last U.S. military unit leaves Vietnam. In over a decade of fighting, some 58,000 U.S. troops have been killed, which sounds very low after watching that documentary. Vietnamese casualties include more than 200,000 South Vietnamese troops and more than 1 million North Vietnamese soldiers and Viet Cong irregulars. Civilian deaths total as many as 2 million. Yeah. April 29th, 1975. Shortly after 11 a.m., the American Radio Service Network begins to broadcast the pre-recorded message that the temperature in Saigon is 105 degrees and rising, followed by a 30-second excerpt from the song White Christmas. Now, I need to just make a little connection here that I just realized. Saigon was the last standing city in Vietnam, or in South Vietnam. So April 29th, 1975 is when it went down. So this signals the start of Operation Frequent Wind, the emergency evacuation of Saigon. So they show this in the documentary as well, and there is old black and white footage of it, and it...
Yeah.
If you think build the wall is the way to go, which if you feel that way, you have turned this episode off a long time ago.
Way long time ago.
But
you haven't even listened past episode 1, probably.
But seriously, if you are like on the fence, like, I get it, we need this, blah, blah, blah. Yes, everyone cannot just come pouring into our country. This is true. There needs to be a system, but there needs to be a more realistic system. Watch this and watch these people cramming 50 people into a helicopter that holds 10. And oh my God, this was the craziest part. So yeah, this is what this was. So over the next 24 hours, 7,000 Americans and Vietnamese were flown to safety. So helicopters came in, they landed on like the tops, very teeter-tottered. People are coming up. Half the family gets in and the helicopter's full and they have to go and their family's just there on the ground. The helicopter stopped coming. Yeah. There was a newscaster interviewing this lady and she was like, he's like, well, why are you here? There are no helicopters coming back. She's like, well, just in case. He's like, but they're not coming back. She's like, well, just in case they do. He's like, no, listen to me. They are not coming back. What are you going to do? Why are you here? She said, can you help us? Oh, yeah. It was just so heartbreaking. But yeah, so these helicopters are flying into this, it was a ship that, the planes fly onto.
Oh, aircraft carrier.
Yeah, so they're not made to handle helicopters.
Right.
And these pilots don't know how to land these helicopters on a moving target. Oh, yeah. So they are either landing or they're crashing on their side or they're landing in the water because they can't hit the boat and then everybody's getting out of the helicopter and getting saved. So then when there are helicopters up there and the deck is full and in the sky, there's just all these helicopters coming in, just waiting to land with refugees in them. So they're pushing these helicopters. Thank God an empath was driving that ship. He was the captain and they went to him and he said, push the $1 million helicopters in the ocean like that or save human lives. Like, yeah, do that. So they're pushing them all in and more landing and more crashing in. And it was absolute chaos. It was insane. They were expecting like 7,000 and they got like 147,000.
Wow.
It was craziness. So however you feel about immigration and refugees, watch that and then come talk to me. So anyway, the American personnel began converging on the more than a dozen assembly points throughout the city. Over the next 24 hours, they were flown to safety. The following morning, North Vietnamese troops entered downtown Saigon, and the South Vietnamese government surrenders unconditionally. And that was it.
Yep.
And I didn't even get into like the peace treaty stuff, the Paris peace, like there were promises made, things that were supposed to be put into place. And no, nothing. I mean, yeah. So I'm just touching on this, but it meant a lot to me to put everything in a timeline.
Right.
Because, like, who's president when and who made these decisions. And
Well, and I think a lot of that gets lost because, we, of course, have all seen, every movie from Forrest Gump, Born on the 4th of July, and Good Morning Vietnam, and,
right.
all of them. Why can I not think of the big one?
It's not Born on the 4th of July?
No, it's the one with Charlie Sheen.
Oh. Another thing while you're looking something up, you get to learn some of the music because there is a lot of music that came out of the Vietnam War and the protests of the war.
Apocalypse Now. How did I?
Oh, Apocalypse Now, right?
I've
That's
had
the big
too
one.
much Fireball today.
Oh,
I don't know why it hit me so hard.
yeah. Well,
Probably because I was on a rant
exactly.
when I got here.
It just fueled your adrenaline. What was I saying?
music.
Oh, yeah. So they have, I think it's Nash of Crosby, Stills and Nash that is in the documentary. And there is a veteran, Vietnam veteran that is in the documentary as well. And I mean, you understand why these men did not talk about it. There is not a single person that talks about it in this documentary that doesn't cry. So it's no wonder nobody wants to talk about it because you don't want to sit around bawling your eyes out.
Don't want to relive that.
Yeah. So anyway, this veteran that is in the documentary who went there, he went early on. So he went in there like ready to go. We're doing the right thing. We're supposed to be here. America, all that good stuff. And then he came home and got rejected. But then he learned all the chaos that
Right.
all the shit show, all the bad decisions, all the stuff that didn't need to happen. And he, said he's willing to admit that he was wrong and he, that wasn't it. So, all right. So he was from Ohio and Crosby, Stills and Nash, or at least Nash met with him when he had this like revelation of what had happened to him there. And they wrote a song called Ohio and it's about this man. So Nash is on there talking about it and the impact that while he didn't go to the war, just talking to people who had been back, and just kind of being in that anti-war movement. And the veteran, he was kind of cute because he was like, it was so cool. Like this really famous person is making a song about me. But yeah, so anyway, that's the end of my timeline. I pieced everything together. I will probably forget it all by tomorrow morning because I'll have slept by then. But I hope it helps some of you put some of the pieces together. And seriously, I highly recommend the documentary. Even if you think you're not into that kind of thing, it's really good. But don't watch it when you're like in a bad or sad mood because
Why? Because it's sad. Imagine that.
Like one night, my husband, I was like, are we going to watch an episode? And he was like, I was like, nope, that's fine. I get it. If you're not feeling it, it's not the show to watch when you're not in the mood to watch it. But very informative. And it will explain a lot about things that I feel like we knew as kids, but didn't know.
Right.
So that's,
It's just crazy that we were like, that a lot of it is why we are the way we are. I mean, Vietnam was a big part of
very
who we are, even though most of us weren't born yet.
It probably affected everybody.
Well, yeah, because your parents were.
Everybody.
I mean, the boomers were all involved in it.
Yeah.
So
you knew somebody, you went to school with somebody, you were related to somebody. So
draft dodging and hippies and all that.
Yeah, but the thing, that was another thing. My husband, he's always very jokingly said, "Goddamn hippies," because I mean, Grateful Dead's his favorite band, so get over yourself. But he really had a new appreciation even for the hippies. Like, it made a lot more sense because he grew up with a more Republican dad who was like, goddamn hippies, although he probably agreed with them more than he would like to admit.
Yeah.
But now, my husband was like, yeah, I understand why they were doing what they were doing. And we got protests every day in this country now trying to fight the evil that's going on. So
it is just very, I understand protests and hippies and all that. It's just very unfortunate what happened to those veterans. And I think that's the moral of the story is no matter what you think about the war, these young men are sent to, even if they signed up for it, it's not.
Right. And none of them are untouched.
No.
Whether, I mean, if you survived and you came home with all your limbs, you saw somebody you knew die, or you were hooked on heroin when you came home.
Or an alcoholic and then you die in a car accident because you were
and your
drinking and
family
diving.
hates you because they think you're a piece of shit because you're an alcoholic and they don't understand what happened to you.
And then you
So-
drive off of a pier and to water and
Because nobody understands what you've been through.
and you didn't even go to Vietnam. You went to Haiti in the 90s.
Oh, God.
Anyway,
All right.
yeah. So
It's time to wrap
anyway,
this episode
the moral
up.
of the story is you don't have to agree with the war, and you don't have to agree with any of that. But these young men are going over, and yes, they are fighting for your freedom, and you don't even have to believe in that. But these are all human beings, and they are seeing things that no human being should have to see. They are dealing with things that no human being should have to deal with. So support your troops.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I could never do it.
No.
Never. And I meet with high schoolers who are planning their futures. And when they say they want to go in the military, I'm like, why do you want to go in the military?
And you know, a lot of these people,
Like, and you better give me a damn good reason.
a lot of them go in for the college and for the, the job, and they did not really sign up to go to war. So,
Or their parents were in,
Right.
or whatever. But
that's
yeah, I will forever and ever and ever appreciate our veterans because I couldn't do it.
Yep.
And I like being free for however longer that we have it.
So, if you like to be free also, wait, I didn't get the part. Thanks for listening. You can like, share, rate, review, follow us where you listen to podcasts. We're going to end this now before we get ourselves into even more trouble.
Oh my God, we were awful this time.
We were awful when I got here.
Yeah, we're going to lose fans.
Yeah, it's okay.
The whole 5 that we
Oh, yeah.
have.
we don't have that many to lose. You can follow us on all the socials at Like Whatever Pod. You can send us an email telling us why you're not going to be a fan anymore because of Vietnam at likewhateverpod@gmail.com or don't like whatever.
Whatever.
Bye.
Bye.